The Nissan Nation podcast is a presentation of DRB and KGB Media.
Recorded live, coast to coast, it's the Nissan Nation podcast. From camping, racing, and all points in between. The NNP is your Nissan Nation podcast. Now start your engines and welcome in the hosts, David and Danny.
What is... Going through puberty there. What is going on, Nissan Nation? From all things Nissan here in Middle Tennessee, this is your Nissan Nation podcast. Groters, the big deal, man. What is going on?
What up, Dave?
Man, I feel like it's been a month since we've talked.
Yeah, it's been a long, crazy month for me, at least. Things have been pretty hectic up in my neck of the woods. So I know you did the last podcast with a trader. So I don't know.
Jason's no trader.
I've been a little upset about that.
Hey,
man.
A
little salty when you trader me.
Well, it's turned into the Toyota Nation podcast, is all I'm going to say, man. Nah, Jason was a good dude, man. I really, really appreciate him jumping in on short notice there with me, and since Dan was doing his thing. But let's get into Dan doing his thing. So, Danny, gone MOAB. We had it was a short time. We didn't get to hang out much because you were doing the overland trip for a couple days, and I'd showed into town a little bit late, and you, I think I saw you at the raffle. I think it was really about the first time I got to see you, man.
Yeah, man. Gone MOAB was just like a roller coaster of speed death that was just blasting like full tilt, man. I don't even know if I slept the entire week, man. It seems like I'd get back from a run at like 6 or 7 and then go say hi to people, have some drinks. The next thing I know, it's 1 o'clock in the morning and I'm stumbling into my room, going to sleep, waking up at 6 and then headed out. And then
I don't know if stumbling, you're probably trying to hide your truck from what I know.
That was part of it. Hiding my truck, waking up every morning, peeling like 16, 20 stickers off my truck every morning.
Well, Danny, what kind of stickers happen to be on your truck every morning?
I had golden sleepover stickers. I had solid front axle is less than
IFS is less than
solid front axle. So IFS less than SF, whatever.
We can't do math on this show.
Yeah.
That's algebra.
Or acronyms. I still have a Betty White sticker on the back window.
Nice.
I had those Gone MOAB stickers all over my windshield. I had blueberry stickers. I had who the F is blueberry. I had I can't even tell you like giant wieners stickers on my windshield. I have a skull with cross wrenches spray painted on my tailgate.
Now, who would do such a thing, sir?
Yeah, well, Kevin Copeland did that.
It was nice, man, that the old school guys were there, man. It really made the event interesting.
Yeah, they kind of brought back some of the old traditions and stuff. The skull is a tradition. Every year he would spray paint a skull on his truck and a couple other people. So I think next year I'm going to suggest he does it with Plasti Dip, depending on how drunk he is. Sometimes the skull doesn't come out like it should. Yeah,
sometimes it's a little all over the map.
sometimes the eyeballs are a little cross-eyed and stuff. So
well, maybe
I think Plasti Dip might be the way to go next year.
Yeah, you might piss off less people that way some days. But,
yeah,
no, man. Go ahead, Danny.
Man.
No, you go ahead, sir.
I was gonna say, it's crazy with they made a pool. I guess you guys probably all listened to it. They made a pool in the back of my truck with the thing. They put cowbells underneath, bike locked cowbells underneath my truck. I mean, it was like this year was like the year to end all years as far as pranking. And I guess I basically asked for all of it though. Well, so I can't really hate on that.
That Team Boyd is silent but deadly, sir. It's like a fart.
Apparently,
it's like a fart, man. we're gonna ease in there. You're not gonna, and all of a sudden it's gonna hit you in the face.
I was kind of like more bark and less bite. I mean, I had some stickers and some little pranks here and there, but man,
no,
people got me.
I was honestly, I was amazed at the amount of people that started nailing you, man. It was a good time.
It was fun.
Well, so let's get some dates going here. So we had gone MOAB. You're having a fun time. What, the final day, you had some issues with your truck, didn't you?
And I kind of kept quiet on it, but the final day was Friday, and I went off with Chris from Nistech and a couple guys, and we kind of did our own thing because I was pretty burned out from whether it was leading trails or just being out all day super late. So we kind of did our own thing. We found this nice little trail past Arches, and we cruised out to this awesome overlook. It was really an amazing day. And on our drive back, we were cruising down a little rally section, and out of nowhere, my curtain airbags blew on my truck. So it was like getting punched in the face. Like you're just cruising like 25, 30 miles an hour and just getting cold cocked to the side of the face. So I slammed on the brakes and, got on the radio. I was like, my curtain airbags went off, and, the seatbelts on both sides yanked down tight. Yeah. So basically locked in there. So, I popped those out and then got out, ears ringing and stumbling around. And I think it was only 5 of us. And we're like, well, what do we do now? So I took a couple pictures. We stabbed the airbags, deflated them, stuffed them back in the roof, and went back. But
so you had you had a bitchin' event, man. You're worn out. Final day, your airbags pop you in the head. You're stressing about a house that you're trying to buy.
Yeah,
and so
that didn't help either. Huh?
Yeah, so you get MOAB done, man. And did you by the time MOAB was over, did you know your house was a done deal, or?
No, not at all. I mean, I got home and it was still kind of like, selling a house, selling and buying a house at the same time. It's just a stressful thing, and not being there while your wife's trying to take care of it all doesn't help a lot.
Right.
So getting back and getting the house sold was. That there was just so much drama in the buying and selling of houses. I'm slowly just now, like, what is it, like a month later, well, more than a month later, just now, like, settling into my new house. So I guess you in the grand scheme of things, it's like first world problems. Like, oh, my new house with my pool is was so stressful getting in here.
I had to get a leaf out of my pool.
I do, I do have this nice little archway with like grapevines growing on it and like grapes on it and stuff. And I was sipping wine, sitting there, and like, I think the stress is worth it.
Oh, I know what you were. There was a secret little video you were passing around of Danny enjoying life, as it were.
It's not bad here, man. That's for sure.
Well, that's good to hear, man. I'm glad finally you're starting to just have a minute to breathe a little bit.
Yeah, it's nice, man. So, I'm enjoying life.
So what's going on with Frontera Racing, man? Anything cool?
The Frontera is, I got a Curry 9-inch race rear end for it. Mm-hmm. And it's Titan width, so it's as wide as a Titan. So it's 3 inches wider on each side. So I have that. We're getting ready to kind of tear into that and get it all ready and mocked up for the back of the truck. Most of the front cage for the passenger, driver and passenger area is done. We're looking to buy some shocks. We're working with a couple different shock companies to see who's willing to come on board as far as sponsorship. We've been kind of talking to them to see what we want to get.
Well, because you're a big deal, and they need to know that, man.
Yeah. So, hopefully by next podcast, I'll have a good idea of what shocks we're putting in it and how we're setting that up. We got to get a fuel cell for it. So, you know what? Nistech and Xterra Performance did pretty well these last couple months. So we have tons of support, which is awesome. So the more support we have with those, on either of those companies, which are sponsors of the Nissan Nation podcast, the more support we have from everybody out there, you know what? And it's not just like support as far as like, we make money, we put it in the racetrack. It's like we make some money, and tons of that money goes into R&D. Like one of the things that we were running out in MOAB was what Dan Spalinger talked about when we interviewed him on his racetrack. His tie rods that he's now racing with on his truck are now on my truck and on Chris Nistek's truck. They're really nice heavy duty tie rods. And that's something that came out of racing because that's what he broke, and that's, it's a weak link. So we put those on and tested them throughout MOAB. Really cool product. Now we're just kind of trying to work with manufacturers and machinists and stuff to get them to because race products are very expensive because they're usually one-off, et cetera, et cetera. So, if we can get it to where it's, a reasonable cost to the market, by, whether it's buying in bulk or finding, machinists that can do bulk, machining on them, then we can get these cool products out. So that's one of the cool things I think that I'm kind of learning and coming across with the new race truck, man, is, it's race stuff that's one off, but sooner or later that stuff trickles down into the aftermarket. And, we make, if we can find out cool ways to make better stuff cheaper for people, that are just wheeling their trucks a little bit.
Right. And one the cool thing you learn from racing is when things break, generally there's common things that go to the aftermarket that you can beef up, just in maybe like rock crawling or stuff. That even with desert racing, you like the tie rods and stuff, you start beefing that stuff up and it all translates over, I mean, obviously you don't want speed, but the heavy duty parts do work their way over.
You do want speed, Dave. You're very wrong. That's
I forgot when you took my truck out to Windrock, it was like, Danny, this isn't a desert racer, and Dan's like, no, hell, screw this, let's jump
these. Bounce that thing, man, bounce it.
You're right. So Dan, let's get to some news, man. It's been a while, and I think there's some fun things they're out there. So
Nissan's getting crazy, man. They're getting crazy.
Nissan.
Oh, yeah, is right, man. For the fans of the Fast and the Furious, man, Nissan, for some reason, goes hand in hand with that movie, whether it be Paul Walker's love of the GTR, the Skyline stuff, or whatever. But some news came out today, I guess this week. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Dan, I don't know if you know who that guy is.
Oh, I know The Rock, man. I was a big fan of the old WWF back in my high school days.
Hell yeah. Well, you're built like The Rock, so I can understand that.
Something like that.
You're Samoan, right?
What?
Anyway, so he's got a new movie coming out this week where him and another guy, I forget, they're high school buddies or something. I don't know what the movie's called. It's not something that interests me, but he's like promoting it. And The Rock is awesome on Instagram, man. He's always posting up just stuff where he's helping people and just, just inspirational stuff, man. Well, all of a sudden he came along to this.
By the way, just take a look at these cars. So we have a $2 million prototype Nissan. We have the fastest Viper in the world. We have an OG right there, Biscayne. That's my style. We got Lamborghinis here. We got Ferraris hanging up. But who gives a shit? Because I don't fit in these cars anyway. Listen, the bottom line is this. For Central Intelligence, West Coast, Midwest, Southwest, it's your turn.
All right, so we'll stop it there. Central Intelligence is that movie. But what was cool about what he was showing is the IDX is sitting in the background of all these cars because they're getting ready to gear up for the 8th Fast and the Furious. And how they're going to do that movie without Paul Walker, I don't know. I've yet to watch the last one just because the whole way he died and stuff. And
you haven't watched the last one?
Well, because it's a sad thing, man, to me. No, it's what's sad to me because I really, other than the second one, I've really enjoyed those movies, and Paul Walker to me was a big part of that. So it's like a lot of times if a show ends like Mad Men or something, I really want to put off the last show because I don't want to lose. It's like your best friend for a while, you don't want to lose your best friend, and so they're moving on with the movies, and I guess they're in pre-production with that, and they're showing all these Lamborghinis and stuff, and there's the IDX, man. So it's confirmed that it's going to be in this new Fast and the Furious, which, come on, Nissan, why would you let a $2 million prototype get in a movie and then not do anything with it, Dan?
Yeah. Whether it turns into something, I mean, everybody wants it. Everybody that I've talked to said it sounds freaking awesome, and they want it to be real. Whether or not it is, it's a rad prototype.
Right.
So every once in a while you come across the prototypes where they're like, well, we can't crush it yet. Let's show it off as more of a, let's just, keep it as a concept. We'll drive it, show it off a little bit more as just something to kind of keep attention, I guess.
Right.
So.
Well, it's really strange to me. Like the first Fast and Furious was all Mitsubishi and what Mazda, they had that RX-7 in there. And those were the big things. And there was a Skyline in the background. But it seemed like the second movies where Paul Walker's like his influence and love of cars really jumped in, and he put his very own GTR Skyline in there in the movie. And after that, it seems like it's been a lot of Nissan stuff in these movies. So it's really cool to see like they're aware of product placement, and it's not like some TV show where it's just goofy product placement. You're really preaching to the enthusiast crowd, and I dig it, man. And I dig The Rock for showing it to us.
Yeah, I'm pumped, and I'm really hoping that it. We all hope, we all hope that it's something a little bit more than just a plug in a movie. We hope that it's something cooler than that, right?
Well, and I don't know if we've talked since the last show of when Mitsubishi. I guess we had when Mitsubishi was bought out by, her controlling interest was taken over by Nissan. To build that car, they need a platform to build it off of, and man, you've got a company there in Mitsubishi that knows how to build an all-wheel drive car. They love rally cars. I mean, that's right up that thing's, deal. So hope and a prayer. I mean, much like the Xterra, it's a hope and a prayer one day that it might come back. So let's get to electric news, Danny.
Let's do it, man. There's got some business going down over there on the electricities.
Yeah, man. Of course, the Leaf it's been an up and down thing for Nissan. They, when times are good and gas is cheap, they don't sell a ton of them. And as soon as those gas prices jump up, people want electric cars again. But electric is the way of the future. And some news came out from, originally published by EV Obsession. It's a website dedicated to all things electric vehicles. They're kind of talking like, Nissan and Tesla, they kind of seem to go back and forth. GM build their kind of hybrid electric car, but really for electrics, it's just Nissan and Tesla. And of course, Tesla just released their 3, or what they're going to release is the 3. And it's kind of sparked some interest from Nissan to go, hey, let's start putting more electrics out there. And let's see, it says, where is it? There it is. The electric SUV market is nearly a barren one. We know that. But, you've got the Tesla X model and a couple others, the Mitsubishi Outlander and stuff. But Nissan looks to be putting electrics maybe in the next Juke and Rogue. Now, why those aren't huge SUVs, man, it's still, they're really pushing the boundaries of where the electric can go. What do you think about that, Danny?
You know what? I think I've said it before. I'm all about, pushing the boundaries of electric vehicles and seeing where it goes. I stopped in a Tesla dealership, I don't know, a month or two ago, and I was pretty impressed with the size of the SUV inside and whatnot. And I've ridden in a one of the Tesla cars, and they're crazy fast, and the weight ratio and the handling on them and
which is perfectly
is cool.
It's a perfectly balanced vehicle,
What's up?
The Teslas are generally a perfectly balanced vehicle.
Yeah, all the weight's down at the very bottom, so not only is it balanced really well, but the weight distribution is where you really want all that weight. It's not front heavy where you're trying to make so much stuff going down, like trying to rebalance the whole car because of you got a giant engine sitting in the front, et cetera,
Right. Well, I think Nissan's biggest hurdle right now is the current Leaf is basically a 100-mile car. And that works for a commuter car, but as far as somebody that wants to, take the car out on the town, the Leaf isn't one of those you're going to go impress your date with or anything, unless, you've got a environmentally conscious date. But they're going to have to break that 100-mile mark, and to do that, I think Tesla's around 200 is where they're at. So Nissan really needed to step it up, and they're saying the next Leaf is going to be a 200-mile rated car. So Nissan must have broke through of whatever Tesla's doing and starting to get that out there. And if they can do that, the Leaf is pretty light car, so your heavier cars are going to start getting some battery packs, Danny.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess that's one of the big things that they're going to have to start developing is, batteries that charge much faster. There's a couple things that they've been doing with their quick charge stations, all over the world, and with the Tesla, they say that they have these quick charge stations, and you just kind of click a button and it'll tell you where they all are. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and that then, as well as getting battery technology to where these and much more efficient motors that don't take as much electricity, etc., that will allow you to go more than 200 miles. Because right now, basically, you go 250, 300 miles in a car and you stop for gas. Right. So if you can get it to where you can do the same thing and do a quick charge on a car, I mean, what's the point of spending all that money on gas when electricity is going to be dirt cheap?
Right. And I've seen, I know in MOAB they had one of those quick charging stations there, and of course they had just the normal charging ones from Tesla too. And I know we have a few around the area, but they're starting to slowly, that's been the thing. Tesla's had to create their own fuel stations basically, and they're started with all the popular routes, just like your cell phone companies would do when they want your interstates where you want to be first so everybody can talk. And then you're going to branch out and, one of these, I would say within 10 years, man, your local station is going to have some kind of quick charging port.
Yeah. And the brilliant thing with Tesla is that they're spearheading this whole thing. And so when it comes to other companies catching up and or playing their game, they're going to be the ones with the infrastructure to help. So, it's going to be like, hey, you guys have to use our special plug-in that we sell in your cars so that you can use all of our stations. And I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot of business dealings in that regard as far as because infrastructure is going to be such a huge thing when you're looking at changing such a huge, cars have shaped our world basically. Mm-hmm. And so changing the infrastructure for something that's so basic in our economy is, there's definitely going to be some big business deals, and people are going to be making some fat change on these deals, right, for sure.
Well, and you think about it, what we call transportation now is really only about 100 years old. I know there were cars before, the late 1800s, but mass transportation just really started in the 20s, man. So fuel stations didn't just pop up overnight for those guys. So it definitely is going to take some time, man, and hats off to Elon Musk and those guys for really pushing this forward. I like electric cars, and I would have one as a daily driver, but I don't know if that's the only transportation I want, man. But to hear Nissan trying to break that 200-mile mark, that's huge. And it's not in this article, but I did see today where Nissan's even talking about doing maybe a separate Leaf that's more of a hybrid, where it's more like the GM car that's, has a little 3-cylinder engine in that'll get you another 100 miles or so.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious if they're going to be trying to work with that super tiny motor that they've been touting as, a billion horsepower and like 1 liter or something like that. If they're kind of developing a motor that's somewhat similar, weighs next to nothing, but it has enough power to, charge and, give enough power to a vehicle to keep it going,
right,
etc.
Well, let's pivot on this. I posted up earlier tonight that did anybody have any comments or questions for us, Danny? I don't know if you noticed that or not.
I did. I took a look at it, and
I like our buddy Car Jeep, man. He's interested in some more some Bare Truth. So I know Kara, she's been busy after MOAB, but she's been actually writing, and she's about to drop some Bare Truth on us. So that's kind of cool. Went hype. Nah, we'll talk about Went later, man. It's too early. Let's see. There's more Went hype, man. I think our listeners love Went.
Yeah.
Let's see. John Fry, I posted a picture of me with my finger on my lips. He wanted to know what I was smelling on my finger, and I told him that was unicorn farts, so that's always nice. Any others that stand out there? Jason Hoffman.
I'm trying to look. Oh, there it is. Sorry, I was trying to pull it up. See what the.
Our buddy Jason Hoffman. Of course, last time I had to school him on what's a skyline. He asked again.
I think he's being facetious.
Car Jeep asked about recent sales numbers. That's always popular.
Yeah, that is popular, though. I think that might be popular with him.
They're more than one and less than 1 billion, so somewhere in between.
You're not wearing your hat backwards. This is odd. That was one of the questions.
Yeah.
Dave, you usually are wearing a hat.
Yeah, well, I don't want to show people my full sexiness, Dan.
There was a question about the Frontera. I think I covered some of that in our interview, so I guess we covered that one.
We did.
Yeah, everybody's just kind of excited about Wimp, man. Sorry, man. Dude. Can't hate. Oh, you know what? We could chat about real quick.
Ooh, tell me.
Which was something we posted up on our Facebook page. Is there's a really cool new overland crew down in Nevada that it's called Rogue Overland. They're starting a pretty cool little overland thing, a little bit similar to Expedition Outfitters, but it's all a Nissan crew. But yeah, they're all out of Nevada. They're a bunch of cool guys. Check out their Facebook page, Rogue Overland.
And I find it ironic or weird that none of them's in a Rogue. That's just weird.
Yeah. It's not like it's more like a Rogue as in I've gone rogue, as opposed to I'm driving a Rogue.
Come on, guys, step it up, man. Buy a Rogue and do a Rogue Overland. No, that's really cool, man. I hope those guys have lots of success there.
Yeah.
Let's see, anything, well, we've posted about the cool Nissan V8 thing that from Johannesburg, we keep trying to get on, but damn this 24-hour Earth. It's hard to talk to these people.
Yeah, it's like basically impossible to try and chat with him at a decent hour to where like me and you and him can talk. Maybe one day we'll get with him, but until then, follow Terrence Marsh and Redline Motorsports, I believe, and they're down in South Africa, just killing it with their race trucks.
They are. So, Danny, why don't you kind of do the pre-introduction here of our interview tonight?
Well, you know what? I just interviewed this guy. He's basically one of the big deals in kind of like the Nissan community here for a long time. He's been around for a long time. He knows some of the old characters. He was actually racing in the yellow race truck with Dave before back when it was racing in a stock class. Dan Spalinger is a really cool guy that has a wealth of knowledge in the world of Nissan racing. So without further ado, we're gonna introduce you guys and see what he's got. I want to introduce Dan Spalinger here from I guess he's kind of a man of quite a few different trades. He runs the Nismo Stuff race team. He does a blog, nismostuff.blogstuff.com. And yeah, he's a rally racer, a Nissan rally racer with a truck. So Dan, it's great to have you, man.
Great to be here. I know you and I have talked a bunch of times online over various things, including the Xterra that you've been racing on occasion with Dave Blakely. I had some familiarity with that in the past, and it was cool for you to reach out and talk to me when you started poking around with that. So that was great. Yeah, my team based here in southern New Hampshire, about 45 minutes outside of Boston. Beautiful hot weather in the middle of rally season right now. Usually the rally season runs from, if you're not counting winter events, it runs from the end of mud season, so late spring, usually all the way until late November. So we're pretty much in the middle of it right now.
Very cool. Yeah. And now, so tell us a little bit, before we get too deep into the rally thing, a little bit about how you got kind of into Nissan. I know you like you said, you were actually the kind of one of the first people I found other than Dave that was part of the whole Nissan Xterra race team back in the day. But how did you kind of get into Nissan?
Sure. I actually got into Nissan probably in the very early 2000s. I think when I came out of college, they were doing the promos for the first generation of the Xterra, 2000 Xterra. And I didn't have enough money at the time for a brand new Xterra. So, I was driving around a little Volkswagen Jetta for a couple of years and saved my shekels together. And, around late 2001, early 2002, I finally got a chance to trade that Jetta in and get an Xterra. And pretty much from there on out, both myself and my family have been a Nissan exclusive family. Sitting in my driveway right now, besides the Frontier race truck, I have a 15 Pathfinder and a 2013 Altima. So pretty much a Nissan exclusive vehicle family at this point. But with the 2000 Xterra, I started modifying it pretty quickly. I never went full sassing it or anything. But I would go all the time with the New England Xterra Club to what was the East Coast Xterra Challenge all the time down in Roush Creek, and originally it was at Paragon before that place got shut down. But so I initially got into Nissans and off-roading through my Xterra, and that became an off-road only vehicle. And it was, pretty lifted, 35s and fiberglass fenders and hood and, the whole kit and caboodle. And because of my interest in that Xterra, when I saw it was, way back in the day when we all used to hang out on, individual websites instead of Facebook or whatever. Yeah. There was the Xterra Owners Club website. Yeah, and I think Dave posted there with one of his first posts about going racing with that Xterra, and I'm like, well, yeah, that's cool, that's different. I've only done the slow speed, rock crawling, mudding, that sort of thing with my Xterra. Now this guy is out in the desert running fast in his 2005 Xterra. That's completely different. So my first email to him was, look, if you ever have an opportunity to, have a spot on your team where you need somebody to, drive a chase vehicle, work the pits, refuel, whatever you need, I'm more than happy to come out. And so he took me on, and I started flying out there a few times a year to work with the team and chase the team in the races there. And eventually I got to co-drive for Vegas to Reno for one section. I'll never co-drive again. I got horribly car sick, and I never, ever get car sick.
I heard that,
I don't get sick on a boat. I don't get sick on a plane. I don't get sick reading in cars. But within about 15 minutes of co-driving in that damn thing, I was ready to tell Dave to pull over, and I was going to puke out the window and have him stop the race right there. I have never been that sick. Wow. It was the whole thing of having the full face helmet on and the air supply in the back. You felt like an astronaut, inside totally. That whole kit and everything. So I'll never co-drive again. And then shortly after that, I'm like, screw it. I live way back east. I'm not flying out west every few months for this. I'm going to build my own thing, do my own vehicle, be responsible for my own stuff. And that's where that came out of. Somewhere along the way in there, I was also an editor for Nissan Sport Magazine before that magazine folded back in, I think it was 2012-ish. Yeah. I think it folded. And so just built the team starting in, bought the race truck off the lot in Tennessee with 100 miles on it, drove it back to New Hampshire, and immediately started tearing it down and having it built up. So that's how we got to basically where we are today.
Well, sir,
cool.
As the ambassador to Nissan Tennessee, I'm gonna need permission the next time you come around here to steal our trucks, okay?
Dave takes his Tennessee trucks very seriously. People coming around them parts.
I keep talking to people.
I got in and out of there as quick as possible. I think it was what, I can't even remember the name of the dealership now. It was over where they have what is it, Oak Ridge? Over in that area.
That's where we have.
I hauled.
That's where we have Windrock. So.
Very good. So yeah, I saw all the power lines for the nuclear plant coming in and out of there, and I'm like, all right, I'm getting my truck and I'm getting out of here, and I'm heading back to the northeast.
So you heard the Simpsons theme.
Yeah, you know what's funny, Dan, is that I bought the truck I'm building right now. I bought that in Tennessee as well. I flew out and met Dave for the very first time, picked it up, and drove it back to a MOAB event, and then drove it home from there. So both of our race trucks are
they're both
straight out of
and they're
Tennessee.
Both relatively the same place, Dan, because yours came from Knoxville, which is only about 40 minutes from Oak Ridge there.
Yeah. So, of course, mine wasn't brand new.
Yeah, it was funny. Yeah, the reason why I went all the way down to Tennessee because it was an 09 model, and it was late 09, so they'd sold through most of them, and it was the only white two-wheel drive left that was, white two-wheel drive 4-cylinder manual that was left east of the Mississippi. So I got one choice.
Yeah. When you're looking for something that's kind of got those weird or not as common combinations, you definitely have to start looking at different areas for sure. So cool. So you started the race team, and I mean you've been doing your blog for I mean almost since you've been, I mean the early days when you started racing. And I noticed it's because there's tons of blogs back from when you started racing and stuff. And I know you've been doing a lot of stuff since because you do a lot of, I mean, Nissan related. I mean, there's other stuff in there, but for the most part, Nissan related stuff on your blog as well. Is that just kind of a hobby you really enjoy doing, or?
Yeah, it's just something I like poking around at. My day job is my day job, and it, pays the bills and everything, but it doesn't always, my interests outside of work don't mesh at all with my daily job. So, to get my thoughts out and to get, my interests out, I guess I, put them down a bit in the blog, and the blog goes, active and not active from time to time, just due to what I'm doing at work and what's going on with the family and stuff like that. But, I think the whole creation and the whole build of the truck, that was very nice, Groot. That was excellent. Sorry. That's classy. I like it.
Deep inside.
I knew this was a classy show coming in, so that's good. I like that.
I really tried to hold that one in, but sometimes they're beefy, man.
For those that don't know, Danny just burped, so.
Anyways, so the activity on the blog goes up and down. But yeah, the whole strip down and build up of the truck is on there from way back when I started that. And usually there's at least a couple posts about every event that it's been to. It's coming time, and my wife doesn't like to hear it, but I think I've had the race truck for, it's about 7 years now. So we're kind of reaching the point where it's time to retire that one and move on to something else. Maybe in the next year to year and a half. I feel like I bought it and started it as kind of a learning process, because I've never, a lot of guys start out and they've raced all their life. I hadn't raced a damn thing. So I bought something that I figured would be stupid and slow and not break and not cost me a lot, so that I could keep running it and keep learning on it. And I think I've gotten to that point now in it where I've, 4-cylinder is pretty brutal going up hills in a 4,000 pound vehicle, compared to, the turboed Subarus and Mitsubishis and VWs that I'm generally running against. But I have zero complaints about that truck. It's it's broken down so few times in a race. It's stunning. When I DNF, it's a rare event in that truck.
And yeah, I mean, I guess that's kind of like, I mean, when I went through your blog, and because I've been through it probably 15, 20 times, just picking apart the roll cage, or looking at what you did one or the other. Because I mean, a lot of your suspension is basically the same stuff that I'm going to be running on my race truck. I mean, my race truck's getting built by the guy that basically built your front suspension, right? BTF.
Yep.
So
Brandon Line over at
yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and that was, that came out of, he was building a custom like pre-runner truck, not meant to be raced, but just for a play truck for a guy out in California. It happened to be at the exact same time I picked up my truck and wanted to build it into a race truck. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, because of my experience going out west with Dave, I had seen a lot of pre-runner 1450 class vehicles in the desert race. I'm like, it's going to be completely wrong for the type of racing that I'm going to be doing back east, but that's the type of truck that I want to build and that I want to race. Right. So when Brandon was making that first set of suspension control arms, tying it into the engine cage and shock mounts and everything, I'm like, look, Brandon, just carbon copy, build me a second set of what you're building for your customer and just ship the damn thing to me and I'll put it together out here. And so that's what he did. He still has the jig for all the parts from back in, I think it was like 2010, 2011 when it was originally created. And, I've gone through, I think 3 or 4 upper control arms that I've bent in various mishaps along the way. And, I just call up Brandon, like, Brandon, you still got the jig, just bang me out another upper control arm and ship it out to me. And so that's how I keep it going. Yeah, the front suspension's all custom. The rear end is pretty stock gearing for the 4-cylinder, stock diff. There's no locker in it. It's got, your lifted Deaver springs and stainless steel brake lines and that sort of stuff. But as far as like the internals or real hardware, the rear end, it's all the same stock stuff.
Right on. Very cool. Very cool. So while we're talking about this, I guess, would you tell us kind of about, your last season and this season, and then I guess if you have future plans? I mean, are you kind of touched on it a little bit, or if you don't know what your future plans are, you just know that there's plans coming?
Yeah. My past, I'll probably go through like the past 3 years because it's been kind of different. 2014, I took the truck actually cross country down to Baja and ran the Nora 1000 race there, which ran from Ensenada to Cabo San Lucas.
Right, yeah.
And if you know the style of that event, it's not a round-the-clock race like, say, the Baja 1000 or 500. It's more of a rally-style point-to-point. You run 300 miles or what have you, stop for the night, camp, hotel, then you pick up and begin racing the next morning for another 200 miles, stop, rest for the night, next morning go another 200 miles. And you keep doing that all the way down the peninsula for 4 days. So it was me and about 4 guys who did that. We ended up breaking every single day. And
sounds about right.
and fixing the truck every single day. So we started every single day, but out of the 4 legs down the peninsula, we only finished one of the 4 legs from beginning to end. And it was, some of the ridiculous things that you see in off-roading. We got stuck in silt and we spun the serpentine belt off the engine and didn't have a spare serpentine belt. So everyone jokes about, oh, pantyhose, right? Pantyhose, that'll work. You just tie pantyhose. Well, we didn't have pantyhose, but we did have shoelaces. And we were able to run a shoelace around for the serpentine belt to at least hobble the truck back out to the highway.
Nice.
Using shoelaces. And then we had our, the chase guys came in and had a spare serpentine belt. And then the other brakes were, because I think it's the oversized tires and the wider track of the vehicle, we twice hit really, really rocky ruts at a good rate of speed, 50, 60 miles an hour. And it twisted the passenger side wheel back into the right. And when it did it, I had only I had like extended tie rods, but the stock steering rack attachments, and it just popped the ball from the socket.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and we fixed it once there was a Mexican villager came up with a sledgehammer and sledgehammered the ball back into the socket on the tie rod, and we kind of limped it out that way. But above like 10 miles an hour, it would pop back out. So
right.
we swapped it back in, and same thing happened 2 days later. Hit another like big rocky rut at 50 miles an hour, twisted the wheel back, popped it right out of the socket, and that was it. And so now on the truck we've upgraded to like hind joints and
inner clevis kind of a thing.
Clevis. Yeah, that's it. The clevis setup on the steering rack. So the next point of failure is the steering rack itself, right? So you do that again, instead of popping it out of the ball in the socket, it's just going to rip the steering rack right off its mounting. So, for sure. But yeah, that was 14. 15, 14, that was my only event in 14, because it was a boatload of money to, bring the truck cross country, run it all the way down Baja, then run it back up Baja on a trailer and trailer it all the way home. That pretty much depleted my funds for 2014. 2015 and this year, I can't pass up the opportunity to go to Canada and run races there. The exchange rate is so ridiculously good. I mean, you're getting like 25 to 30% discounts on your entry fees, food, beer, which is key.
For sure.
Hotels. And there's probably 6 or 7 races that are just up across the border from us in Quebec and Nova Scotia. So that's what we've been concentrating on the last 2 years. Last year, we managed to grab the two-wheel drive championship for the MECA championship. That's MEQA, which stands for Maritime and Eastern Quebec Rally Championship.
The big fish in the little pool, right?
Exactly. Right. But again, it's the truck, it's not maneuverable, right? It's not going to knife its way through corners on fire roads the way that an all-wheel drive Subaru or things like that are. So a lot of times it really feels like you're bringing a knife to a gunfight. But the one saving grace that the truck has is its unbelievable finishing rate and durability, right? I can just point the nose of the truck anywhere I want on the road, over any ruts, rocks, what kind of debris happens to be there, and where the cars will slow and or if they hit it at speed, brake, the truck just keeps soldiering on. So we catch a lot of teams just by running them down over time,
right?
Which is where eventually and you want to get to future plans eventually, I have my shopping list for the fuel cell to go in the truck so that I can begin bringing it out west and running a race, whether it's Texas, Utah, Arizona, Nevada, running in occasional race, maybe one race a year out there, and then the rest back here, more rally races. Right. The cage I purposely built when I built it, I built it to meet both Score's desert racing cage requirements and Rally America's rally requirements, and they're really similar, but there are a few little tweaks on each one, so that you kind of had to do a little different on the cage build to meet both requirements. The funniest one, I think, is the way that the cage mounts to the vehicle itself. If you read the Score rules, it has to mount to the frame, right? Because everyone runs trucks, like right. body on frame. So you gotta mount the roll cage to the frame. So you drill with the cage, you drill down through the floor, and you put plates on and mount it to the frame itself. Well, Rally America, they're not used to dealing with body on frame vehicles, so their rules state that you have to mount the cage to like the body or the shell of the vehicle itself. So basically like the floorboards, using like spreader plates and everything. Right. So in order to meet the requirements for both series at the same time, what you'll see in my truck is it's done both, right? We've gone through the floor and mounted it to the frame underneath, and we use the spreader plates to mount the cage to the floor of the truck itself. So it kind of meets both requirements. And there's other things like Score and Desert Racing. They allow the engine cage to be in front of the front suspension points, right? Your engine cage can go all the way to your front bumper. So you can mount lights on that cage. You can add, crossbars to increase the rigidity from side to side. Well, in rally racing, they don't let you build any part of the cage to the vehicle in front of the upper shock towers, because they feel that is taking away from the engineered crumple zones that are already designed into the original design of the vehicle, so that if you're in a front impact crash, instead of the vehicle crumpling the way it should, your engine cage has the possibility of being shifted back into the passenger compartment. Gotcha. So there are little tweaks like that if you're trying to design a vehicle that meets different regulatory bodies. Right. Yeah, and I guess there's probably way less nerfing in rally racing than there is desert racing, right? Absolutely. There are opportunities to pass people on stage. I've been passed on stage, and I have passed other people on stage. But nerfing is not encouraged, and if it occurs, it's one of those. Not like what we did, man. I'll tell you what. No, we definitely nerfed, and then a nice couple little side swipes. The last race, man, we were not the nicest when we passed. No, of course, it didn't get over. So you can't be, and that's just the culture of the sport. The cultures are completely different from one style of desert racing sport to rally racing. It's desert racing. I always encountered. A lot of construction firm guys, right? Carpenters, plumbers, guys who own their own blue collar businesses. Mm-hmm. Rally racing is much more they're all engineers. You can't go to a rally race without running into dozens of electrical, mechanical engineers that come from RPI or MIT or you name it, whatever the big engineering schools are. That's all that's filled.
Right.
So you have two very different groups when you move from series to series.
Yeah, Roger that. No, I can understand that. It seems like it would be applicable. I mean, when you look at the two sports, I think there's definitely a little bit more finesse in rally racing. I mean, it's definitely a different dragon, if you will, than, I mean, desert racing is like real. I mean, everything's built like, weighs 3 times as much, and I mean, it's a thumper game, where rally is a little bit more of a, finesse and speed. I mean, plus you guys don't get the route until right before the race, right? I mean, you guys are kind of like, here's the route, and is that how you kind of roll, or is it less so much?
It depends on the series. Different series tackle it different ways for cost reasons. The high-end series will allow you to essentially what in desert racing would amount to pre-run the course, right? You get the basic layout of the roads ahead of time, and then you go and run them, and your co-driver will sit there and say, okay, was that and we break down corners into sharpness of corners on a say 1 to 5 scale. So was that corner a 5 or was it a 3? And every corner you'll go through and you'll make notes and correct the notes that you already have to, okay, maybe it's a 3 to a guy in a Subaru, but me in the truck, it feels tighter, so I'll call it out as a 2, and my co-driver will have to make that adjustment so that when we're racing it at speed, he calls it out slightly ahead of time so that I don't have to see the corner before I know what the corner is going to be when I get there.
Right.
I think the bigger difference is probably, desert racing. There's often you get the GPS track ahead of time, right? And it's a more wide open track, and you have more choice over where you're going to pick your line and go. Whereas rally racing, by its very nature, is specifically on a dirt road. So you are always on that road. So you don't have that choice of, okay, do I pick this line or do I pick that line? Which direction is quicker or going to be smoother? I mean, you are on the road. You really don't have much of a choice in that regard. In terms of finesse or, how hard it is, I enjoy the longer events with more endurance requirements to them. Sometimes, rally events can feel like, oh, you make one mistake on one corner and that's it, you're done, because the differences in time and speed are so minimal and are so close together, and the distances covered in a stage rally event are, maybe 150 miles at best. Whereas with desert racing, or even in the NORA event, which, it's kind of a hybrid of desert and rally racing, you can make a mistake and recover from it. It requires you to persevere over an extended period of time, to fight through difficulties, to make repairs and get the thing back on the road. And those sort of challenges are the ones that I probably enjoy the most. So the longer the event, the harsher the event, the more I would say that I enjoy it. 'Cause those are the types of challenges that I enjoy. I'm not a sprinter, right?
So I'm not tortoise in the hair.
so the longer it goes, the better off I feel.
Yeah. The more chance you have to keep motoring, the longer that they have to keep their vehicles freaking running at that high strung top speed.
Exactly.
Well, cool, man. I don't really have too much else for you. I appreciate you coming on. I know you have a sponsor on the race truck. You want to give them a little shout out right now?
Sure. My sponsor is Bedard Pharmacy and Medical Supplies. They're located in Maine, and they supply all of Southern Maine's needed equipment for whether it's your home medical needs or your business-to-business medical needs for, whether it's scrubs or glucose monitoring systems, sleep monitoring systems. They supply all of that. And they are good enough to supply me with a vehicle that gets my race vehicle back and forth on its trailer. So they have been a huge assistance to me over the years.
Very cool. Very cool. It's always good to have. Well, we got some reverb going, huh? It's always good. It's always good to have someone helping out because the expenses and everything that goes into racing is it. When you start looking at it seriously, you realize that it usually takes a team. I mean, one person cannot go racing. That's just how
absolutely.
It goes.
I'm sure you've run into the saying is what's the best way to make a little bit of money in racing? And we'll start out with a lot of money.
Exactly.
And I didn't realize how true it was until I caught the bug and started down this path.
Well, I got a quick question, man. Roughly what kind of budget do you operate on with this truck?
We talking whole year, whole hog, everything included?
Yeah, what's a year? What's a year? Because I hate to call you a hobbyist, but yet you're not a hobbyist with it. But like I would be with my Xterra or something. But you're not the full tilt guy. So
no.
As kind of like a short track racer guy, that's my thought of what you're doing. What's a budget?
All right. Well, general entry fees for a stage rally race that's about, say, 100 to 150 miles. The entry fee alone is going to be close to $1,000. So that's where you start. Hotel, for 4 nights, $100 a pop. So that's $1,400. Gas is, several hundred more. So say, on the low side, $2,500 per event. On the high side, maybe a little over $3,000. And there's ways to cut that. If you have a co-driver who is really into it, they may split or they may take 1/3 of the entry fee themselves. They may pay for half the gas, pay for half the hotel. Usually it's a combination of those things depending upon, if my co-driver is going to get married and I lose my co-driver for a few events, then it might be me ponying up the majority of the cash while I try and scrap together, some replacement for my co-driver for a couple of events. But usually if you make a good friendship and you make a good team with you and your co-driver and you begin to trust each other and really operate as a team, then you both realize that you're both in it together, and you start to split the cost because it's something that you both enjoy doing. That's when you were saying going to Canada makes a lot of sense right now because the cost for it. Yeah, 3-4 years ago, when the Canadian dollar was 1 to 1, I'd rather stay here in the U.S. Most of the time, it's a shorter trip, and everyone here speaks English instead of French. Food's better. People are, the culture I'm more in tune with. But when you're talking, a 25-30% discount on everything, it's really hard not to take advantage of that.
Yeah. I can understand that for sure. And you know what? As far as your budgets, anytime I race with Dave out here, the budget's pretty close. It's almost the same thing when you're racing best in the desert and stuff out here. It's pretty similar, depending on how many volunteers you have and if they're willing to, kind of pay their own way or if they want their own hotel room or whatnot.
Yeah. I do not have the budget to be paying for other people to tag along.
Yeah.
So whoever tags along has to pull their own weight, and a lot of the time, it's just me and my co-driver. So we load up all the tools, and we're the ones responsible for wrenching on anything that breaks. And, whether it's, duct taping things together and skipping meals because we don't have, a service crew that's waiting there with, bacon and eggs when we come for service and everything. And, the other teams have like, their wives and girlfriends and hangers on and everything, and they got grills going and everything else. And they come in for service, and we have, a couple bottles of water and a granola bar. We go. So, everybody's got their different setup, and that happens to be ours.
Well, I'm sorry, Dan. I happen to notice on your website that you have a donation button. Does any of that go towards helping you with your racing, or
100% of it would go towards helping me with my racing? It certainly wouldn't go towards anything else.
Well, what's your address there for that, so we can get some of our listeners to hit that donation button?
The website would be Nismo Stuff, so NISMOSTUFF .blogspot.com.
Well, maybe we can get some of our listeners to throw a couple pennies that way. I know they've come in handy for Danny. So
there's been quite a few guys that have supported the Team Xterra Racing, and I encourage all you guys out there just to support him in his racing, because it's not cheap, but we all try and do what we love, and if anybody can throw a couple bucks his way, at least. I always think of it as throw them at least $5 so you can buy them a beer and say, hey, job well done, the good work.
Well, hey, and if anybody does contribute any pennies, make sure to leave your name and address. I have Nismo Stuff Racing postcards that will be personally autographed by myself and my co-driver that I will be more than happy to mail you. And they are two-sided. They have the color photo of the truck on the front, and on the back we have a beautiful, classy black and white photo of the racing vehicle that I will send out to you.
That's awesome, man.
I'm going to send over beer money right now, actually.
Nice.
Just so I can get one of those sweet little things.
Very cool. And, Dan, you and I are going to have to, when you get this truck built, and you got your own team and everything, but you name it, I'll be there for your first race, chasing you, supporting you, whatever you need, if you need a few shekels for a hotel room to crash in after you stuff your truck in a ravine or something, I will be there for you.
Well, that would be the first the starting line there.
Yeah, right. Which will probably happen. So, but yeah, and you know what? I messaged you the other day when you were looking for a little co-driver, and I ended up not getting back to you, but I was pushing hard with the wife to get out there, and I'll tell you what, man, I pushed it almost to the brink of stop talking to me. But man, I would love to one of these days if you get an open seat to and I will pay my own way.
Don't worry about it.
But
and
mostly I'd love to try that out one day.
And it's mostly because Danny's tired of these hashtag stickers that everybody keeps putting on their trucks.
Yeah, hashtags. Oh man, gone MOAB was hashtag 68 miles. Hashtag 44 miles. There's probably 4, and they're all, of course, all the stickers are pink.
Well, see, I might not be able to get you as long as a Vegas Torino or a Baja 1000, but I'm pretty sure we can finish up a 150-mile event, and you can say you actually finished the whole event.
Yeah, so I'm just looking for a checkered flag, man. That's really all I want, man.
I think we. And if we DNF when you come out, then we know it's all you, right? It's all you.
Exactly. Then we'll know exactly what's going on for sure.
Yeah, Danny just wants the street cred of finishing a race.
Exactly.
Well, man, we appreciate having you on the show, and we'll get you up on our website. And once again, go to his website if you are a fan of racing, especially Nissan truck racing, which there's not a lot of. Danny and Daniel here seem to be the guys wanting to do it. Give them a shout out. Go to their you have a Facebook page as well?
I do. Should be Nismo Stuff Racing on Facebook that you can find it. I usually update both nowadays since everyone seems to have moved over to Facebook for the most part. I think that's probably the the more active site at this point. But yeah, both of those places I keep fairly updated. Next event is hopefully up in Nova Scotia at the end of July. It is the Ledgewidge Look-Off Rally, which is an interesting race. They're doing an all-night race this time. So the race doesn't begin until 4:30 in the afternoon. They run it through a giant gravel quarry there for the first couple spectator stages, which is really cool. You get to go up a lot of the big roads that they run the giant dump trucks up and down, really dusty, giant puddles of water to run through. And then when they're done with those spectator stages, it's all out into the forest until 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, right around 100 miles, all night racing, which is really unusual. You don't find, because of liability in public roads and things of that nature, you don't find a lot of races, rally races that run exclusively at night. So this is an opportunity for a really cool night race.
Very cool. That sounds like fun.
It should be.
Well, we appreciate your time tonight and hope to talk to you again real soon, man.
Hey, just ring me up anytime. Anytime you guys need another co-host, you need another guest, whatever, just ring me up. Glad to shoot things back and forth.
Sweet, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate that, man.
Good luck in your next race, bro. All right.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
What is going on, everybody? Let me talk to you a little bit about Lifestyle Offroad. What is Lifestyle Offroad? What do they do? Well, let me tell you, they make custom t-shirts, they make custom graphics, stickers, you name it. They also have their own line of clothing. I wear a lot of it, man. I personally like their designs and what they do and how they support, the off-road community and especially the Nissan community. So if you need something from custom stickers, I love you grandma, whatever you want to put on your car, maybe family reunion t-shirts, maybe t-shirts for your club or event, give them a shout over there at www.lifestyleoffroad.com or check them out on Facebook at Lifestyle Offroad. Be sure to tell them the NNP sent you. All right, man. Dan, hell of an interview, buddy. I'm proud of you on that one. That good stuff. I hated that I couldn't comment more on it, but I know you always get kind of giddy when Nissan racing and especially trucks is involved. So
I do have a soft spot, and the fact that you're not very bright is when we get to talking about technical stuff.
Drive shafts, what are those?
What's this whole tie rod thing? Is that something for your hairs?
I'm like the dude off of Days. What was the racing movie, the NASCAR racing movie Tom Cruise was in? Days of Thunder.
Days of Thunder.
Or early in the movie, he doesn't know, he can drive the pants off that car, but he doesn't know how to set it up or tell him what it needs. Man, that's me. I can drive a hell of a race. Just don't ask me to do anything else to it. If you look in my garage, you'll know why. But
yeah, how speaking of in your garage, Dave, how's that going, buddy?
Dude, it's going awesome till you weld parts on wrong and you're red faced in your garage one day.
Welded wrong parts, man, Dave. Of all the things, man.
Well, let's just put it this way: you put beer in my hand and give me a welder.
Oh yeah. Wait, was it good beer? Were you drinking good beer? Is that the problem?
Well, it wasn't 805, man, but it was.
Well,
good.
I mean, what did it have more than a 4% alcohol
This isn't whatever. Utah, buddy. We're allowed alcohol in our beer.
I like to drink the cheap beers when I'm in the garage because then I, usually half the time I drink about half of them and then I misplace them and I usually only get 3 or 4 actual beers down over an 8-hour period in the garage. So you can't really get too wasted. So if you're drinking good beers, then sometimes you drink them too fast and then it's bad news, man.
The problem with buying a SAS kit with no instructions is there's no instructions. So sometimes you just get in a hurry and think, oh man, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. Then the tunnel crumbles down in your face and your truck's buried under it and you're trying to dig your way out, Dan.
You just melt metal all over the place, huh?
Dude, I'll weld anything once, So I'm working with Calamini right now trying to get those guys to come off some parts for me and or just sell me some parts. they're interesting to deal with at times, man. So please, Calamini, if anybody there listens to the Nissan Nation podcast, you can donate some link towers to David Boyd here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. But yeah, man, your interview was spot on there, dude. I just was having fun listening to you guys talk, man. But definitely give Nismo Stuff Racing check them out on their Facebook page, and they've got a blog and stuff they do, and they've got a little donation button, man. And as Danny can attest to, man, racing isn't cheap, and it's just cool to see. He's got the throwback colors on his truck, man, the red, white, and blue. It's awesome. And he's on the East Coast, which is I've never really, I don't pay much attention to style racing, but I didn't know that there was a lot of racing this way. So,
and you know what? The East Coast has a lot of racing, rally racing, especially up in there. And part of the reason he goes up to Canada is rally racing kind of has a lot of European influence and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, that kind of translate over to the French Canadians, whatever accent that was.
And their French
fries.
My
Irish French Canadian accent.
Oh, what are you talking about?
Oh, my French Canadians up there. Scottish.
I was gonna say,
Scottish. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore, dude.
Slapping the bass, dude. I don't know what you're doing.
Slickies. I like to just do it full slicky style. Just slick it in here.
Oh man, fun tonight. Well, Danny's awesome to have you back, man.
Yeah, it's good to be back, brother. I'm glad I'm kind of a little bit more relaxed now, and I'm able to get back in the swing of things now that everything's settled down a little bit.
Well, now that you don't have to walk to the community pool, you have your own in your backyard.
Oh, buddy, and Dave can see this right now. You listeners can't see nothing. Dave can see my window out in the back, and I want you to know, Dave, that right outside that window, about 5 feet, there's a hot tub.
Oh.
Right outside my bedroom window, the bedroom door, I should say.
Well, you got to watch those hot tubs are evil, dude. You start drinking in those things, and
oh, buddy, I got a 5 foot walk from my bedroom door, from my back opening bedroom door to my hot tub, man.
You know what? When the kids go to bed, that's the walk of shame, sir. You go out there and have some fun.
I call it. Well, it starts with the walk of fame, but it ends with the walk of shame.
Well, anyway, so back to the main thing of give Mr. Nismo Stuff Racing there. Give them a peek-see on their website and stuff.
Yeah, and check out the whole build on his truck. You can go back on his blog way back to
2008.
2000 something or other when he was building it, and check out the whole build. It's a really, really well done build. I mean, he's really done a nice job on that truck, and it's really cool to check out.
Yeah, and it was cool to hear like some of the parts that he's running that actually translate into your vehicle and what they're going to do with yours, and that was good stuff, man. I want to give a couple shout outs tonight, man. I want to give a shout out to my buddy Hep. Old Tony Hepler, man. I've been watching Tony's page here lately, and man, he's jumping into some cool parts, man. His wife has a Frontier they bought, and they've been slowly building it up. And of course, everybody knows Hep's racks that he puts on the Frontiers and the Xteras, sold by Dan.
Oh, is that me? Sorry. XterraPerformance.com
and Niztech.
NizTechLifts.com.
That's right, man.
He's got cool new stuff too. Those high lift jack mounts that mount up on the utility rack, and I mean, he's got tons of cool little stuff that he's coming out with these days. Yeah,
man, and that's what I got. I was talking to Tony today actually about ordering some of that stuff, man. I'm gonna put the high lift in. He's got a cool Rotopax mount that he's putting in his trucks too that look really cool.
Yeah,
and maybe a bumper too. I don't know, man. We'll see. We'll see by winter time what happens there. But I want to give a shout out to Tony, man. He's an awesome dude. Just salt of the earth. I don't know whatever the phrase is, man. He's just like a awesome human being, man. So if you need a rack or anything, man, think Hip. Don't think Gobi or some of those other companies that don't want to play ball or want to send you the wrong ladder 5 times. But think old Tony there, man. And of course he's with XterraPerformance.com and Danny's company. So Danny, you got any kind of shout outs this week you want to throw out there?
I would like to do a special shout out to my wife today.
Awesome. Because
she has taken care of me quite well during this move, and me running off to go do gun MOAB things while I'm trying to sell houses and stuff. So I would like to shout out Jamie Groders tonight and say, I love you, my wonderful wife, and thank you for being wifely and amazeballs.
It's so easy.
Loving you is hard.
Everything I see reminds me of her. So, I love my Naked Gun references. Anyway, so next show, Danny, guess who we got?
Who do we got?
Holden Scott of Regal Nissan, man. Buddy of Gone MOAB and of Went Windrock, man. The Scott family owns Regal Nissan.
Yeah, Holden's a good cat, man. I like that guy. I've seen him I met him at Gone twice, at Windrock once. Fun dude. We've had a great time together.
Yeah, and he's a fellow chiver, man, which is awesome. The cool thing with Holden is, of course, it's a family-owned dealership, man. And he's going to give us some cool ins and outs of, the dealer world. Something that, we all, a lot of times, either we love our dealers or we hate our dealers, man. So we'll get to ask Holden some cool questions.
Ask him the tough questions you always want to ask the dealership.
That's right. Where's my free Titan? That'll be question number one.
Yep. Where's our Nissan Nation podcast promotional Titan?
That's right. Danny needs a red one that matches his red Dragon.
I need a tow vehicle for the race truck.
That's right, and it's got to match really. So
actually, you know what? I want the black and gray one because I saw Boulder Nissan had one out there at MOAB.
Uh-huh.
It was so slick. It made me feel myself touched.
You got the feelies.
It gave me some feelies. Made my pants tight.
And Holden's the only guy I know too to take GTR fuel injectors and somehow shove them in his Xterra. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, buddy.
But he's got a lot of cool connections. There's actually a lot of racing in the Atlanta area, and a lot of Nissan racing, man. So he was telling me about some GTR stuff, and nothing makes me purr like that GTR. So that maybe we'll actually get to talk some GTR from people that know them.
Yeah, for sure.
But so that's going to be coming up in a couple weeks, Danny. Hats off to you for coming back to me, man. It's good to have the gang all back together. Maybe we'll have a Bare Truth next time. And from everybody here in Middle Tennessee to Southern California, Danny, this is the Nissan Nation, and what are we?
Loving you is hard.
We are out. Peace, everybody. Love y'all.